What is up, all my Nexus family? It is your host, Dr. Daniel Kimbley, and you are tuned into another episode of the Nexus Podcast. In this week's episode of the podcast, I'm going to give you a heartfelt story and journey, and I hope this sits with you the way it does with me, because this is something that I'm so passionate about, and it's actually something that I haven't talked about in quite some time. And, you know, it's really just an opportunity for me to get back to the roots of why I got into chiropractic in the first place, share a little bit of my journey with you, whether you're listening for the first time or you've been listening to this since episode 1. I don't know where you're at in our journey, but this is what I know, is that I have a passion for seeing people express themselves at 100%. I quit teaching because I had this realization that every single one of us has the exact same potential to be successful. And this episode couldn't come at a better time, because literally today we got a review from one of our mamas, from a kiddo that we've been taking care of for just about 6 weeks, who has had a massive amount of seizures throughout her life, who is the longest stretch ever. We're talking 33 or 34 days today of seizure-free, and we're talking about a kiddo who's had thousands of seizures over the course of her life in less than 3 years. And so I'm sharing this with you to say that, I truly believe that every single one of us has the same potential to be successful. And I know this because I've seen people come to us with genetic disorders, with diagnoses of things they were told that they would always be a part of their lives, and they end up getting off of medications, or cancers disappearing, or you name it. We've seen the healing inside of our office. And it's not because, I always tell clients this, it's not because we are the magic healers inside of our office. The reality is that the reason and the way that we get people to the place that we do, cancers going away, seizures going away, vertigo going away, lifetime of headaches going away, 40 years of back pain going away, people making more money, people feeling less brain fog, people feeling connected for the first time in their relationship, people feeling and taking risk to go after their dream job when they never felt safe to do it before. All of these things are possible because of chiropractic care, but it's specifically because you were designed to function in a very optimal state. And stress gets in the way of that optimal state. So the reason that I'm bringing you this podcast, the reason that I wanted to bring you this episode specifically, is because I simply want to let you know right now, in the very beginning, that every single one of us has the same potential to be successful. And it drives me crazy, and it breaks my heart that people show up to our office as a last resort and they start healing for the first time. Literally, I had a conversation with a dad yesterday who said, my son is trying to talk for the first time. My son 2 times now, since he's been under care with you, and they've been with us for less than 6 weeks, my son 2 times now has not gotten sick, which would have put him out of commission for 8 to 10 weeks because his immune system was so affected. And the reason is because every one of us has the same potential to be successful, and the same potential to thrive, and the same potential to be healthy, and the same potential to be vibrant, and the same potential to live and express life full out, but we can't do it if our nervous system is stuck in a stressed out state. So here's what's going down in the office, is all the time we get people who ask us, Dr. Daniel, there's so many kids in your office. Why do you guys see so many kids? And the kids look healthy. They don't seem like they have any issues. Some kids do, but there's a lot of kids who are just coming to us, 2-month-old, 2-week-old, 2-day-old, doing house calls for moms. There are all these parents who understand the value of having a healthy brain and setting the brain up for success from the first breath of life, because your brain is what allows you access to success in the first place. And so I share this with you because when I was teaching English, I used to be a high school English teacher, if you don't know this about me, and I always had this belief that every single one of us had the same potential to be successful. So I started asking lots of questions about how the brain actually learned and how the brain actually functioned. And everything I learned brought me back to the frontal cortex of the brain. And I stumbled across this CDC study. It's called the ACE study, or the Adverse Childhood Experience Study. And what this ACE study proposes is something so profound and so much validated by research today that I had to share it with you. I'm not going to share the research with you, but I just want to talk a little bit about the ACE study. So what the Adverse Childhood Experience, or ACE, ACE study expresses and proves is that kids who have more stress in their lives are less successful in any way that we would define success in American terminology. And so what I mean by that is when we think of success, we would think of how much money someone makes, whether they've had a single divorce or no divorces, whether their incidence of drug use is higher or lower, whether their incidences of alcohol abuse is higher or lower, their incidences of, being admitted to the hospital, being admitted to the emergency room, and how healthy or how sick lifespan is a piece of this, how much education someone gets, like all these things that we would consider successful. And I'm not saying those are the only definitions of success. I'm just saying that for this adverse childhood experience study, what they found is that success goes down the more that kids have stress inside of their lives. So the question becomes where could stress come from for a kid? What could kids possibly have stress from? Because they don't have bills and they don't pay taxes and they don't have spouses. They just get to play and be kids. And here's the reality is it comes from a number of places. But the place that it starts is prenatally. Like when the baby is still in mom's belly, if mom has stress hormones floating around in her system, we know through the research that those stress hormones are negatively affecting the front part of the baby's brain development that will set them up more for a stress or fight or flight response later in their life. Stress hormones, you should know, shut off the front part of the brain, which is the part of the brain that's responsible for success. So if mom is stressed out, we set up a baby to be more stressed out from before their first breath of life. And that brings a stressed out baby into the world. And then we bring a baby into the world who's already stressed out because mom was stressed out. And then we have a kiddo who, they have soccer and they have bullies and they have social media and they have the act and the nature of looking at blue light on a screen literally triggers a stress response inside of the brain. The act of sitting for long periods of time triggers a stress response inside of the body. Bumps and falls and learning to walk and learning to crawl, and then we add in the pressure of performing well in school, or add in the pressure of performing well in sport, or add in the pressure that mom and dad put on the kiddos to be successful or go to the dream college or whatever it is. We have all these pressures in society today on our kids, and every single one of these is increasing the likelihood that they're going to be sick, increasing the likelihood that they're going to make less money, increasing the likelihood that they will have incidences of drug abuse and alcohol abuse, increasing the likelihood that they will have incidences of divorce rate. And these are not my words. I'm not making this up. This is a study from the CDC called the Adverse Childhood Experience Study. I would encourage you to check it out. I didn't want to read it to you today, but I wanted to share the findings with you because I think it's so powerful and it speaks volumes to what I am so passionate about as a chiropractor. Because here's what I know. When these parents sit down with me and they ask me, Dr. Daniel, why do you see so many kids? What could a newborn baby possibly get adjusted for? The answer is so simple. It's that because we know these kids are going to experience stresses in their lives. And if they experience them and they're more adaptable to them, which is what we're doing every time we adjust a kid in the office, we're boosting their immune system, we're increasing the functionality of their frontal cortex of their brain, we're increasing their ability to concentrate, we're increasing their ability to regulate their emotions. All of these things are possible through the frontal cortex of the brain. So our adjustments are designed to allow a kid to better adapt to that stress. In other words, to take on the stress and have it roll off their back versus them holding it in their system, which negatively affects their brain. And so, I talk about this because I sat down with a friend today and as we're having a conversation, he's like, dude, you got to start looking back at the younger generation. And the reality is why we take care of so many kids is because there is a generation of kids being brought up right now who are insanely stressed out. And we know through all of the neuroscience, through the Adverse Childhood Experience Study, that these kiddos are going to function less and they're going to be less successful unless we do something proactively to help them. And so most of the mainstream medical system is designed to say, if you don't have symptoms, then you're healthy. If you don't need a medication, then you're healthy. And there's so many places that we see this, but what we can do as chiropractors, what I do in my office specifically with Dr. Taylor, is we look for where is this stress stuck on in someone's system. Because we know that if there's stress stuck on in someone's system, then they're going to function less than. And this is the difference between 95% and 100%. This is the difference between a mom who experiences a kiddo with 3,000 seizures in the course of her lifetime at the age of 3 years old, and a mom who has 30 plus days of consecutive no seizures at all, completely life-changing for the entire family. is stress stuck on in the system. This is the difference between a mom having a baby who was told she needed a tongue tie till we start working with this baby and now she's sleeping through the night full out where she couldn't sleep for more than 1 to 2 hour stretches. How does that change the family dynamic? How does that change how the baby is brought up in this world? Parents are less stressed out, baby's less stressed out, baby's healing better, baby's nursing better, baby's digesting better, baby's sleeping better. So mom and dad are sleeping better, then mom and dad are more connected, and then the baby's more connected and they feel more loved. Like this trickle down effect of what we do. Like this isn't about chiropractic care. We know that chiropractic care affects the brain, but what I really truly care about is like literally changing the world in which we live. I care so much about the community that I live in, that I want to see more people more connected. I want to see more people functioning optimally. I want to see more people living the life that they never thought possible, because guess what? Even if they didn't believe it for themselves, I have always known it's possible. And if you're listening to this, I know it's true for you, and I know it's true for your family. And it has to be, because this is the way that our bodies were designed. Our bodies were designed to heal. They were designed to function at 100%. We were designed to be successful. We were designed to be able to push it to the limits and not break down and not feel like we're just getting old at 35, or at 50 years old you can't pick up your kids and play with them anymore. Like all of those things are lies. Like straight up, you've been lied to. And what I want to see is I want to see a generation of kids who aren't stressed out, who deal with stress better, who are more adaptable, who have more highly functioning immune systems, who are able to get through the stresses of school and the stresses of life and the stresses of bullies and the stresses of relationships and the stresses of the craziness and the chaos that is our world today, and get through it in a way where they're clear, and get through it in a way where they're connected, and get through it in a way where their relationships are better, and get through it in a way where they're kinder to other people. Because guess what? All of those things that I just mentioned are a result of one thing and one thing only, and it's a healthy front part of the brain. And if the brain isn't functioning at 100%, then life's not going to be at 100%. Like it's just plain and simple. And this is, again, it's not me making this up. This is what all the neuroscience, this is what all of the science says. Like we can look at these studies in mice and they say when a mother mouse is stressed out, a mouse is stressed out born into this world. Their digestion's different, the way their brain fires is different under functional MRIs. And so this is the exact same thing that I'm talking about. And this is why I quit teaching, because I realized that like teachers are amazing. Like I love teachers. We take care of some teachers. They're so great, like literally warriors, right? But for me, I had to quit and give it up because I knew there was a higher calling. I knew there was a better way to make an impact in the lives of kids, and make an impact in the lives of families, and make an impact in the lives of human beings that would allow them to express themselves full out, allow them to express themselves at 100%, allow them to live the lives that every single one of us is capable of living at. And my friends, all I got to say on this episode, I have no ask for you. I just want to say that I love you and I appreciate you, and that I hope that we can start to build up a new, healthier generation of less stressed out kiddos, ones who are more successful by however you design success. And it all starts with having a healthy front part of the brain. I will come at you again next week. I love you and I appreciate you so, so much. Peace.